Hey, Margaret.
Yeah, Anton?
You know people don't talk about enough?
What?
Simon's convictions would be so isolating. Welcome to People Don't Talk About, Young Royals. I'm Anton. My pronouns are he, they.
And I'm Margaret. My pronouns are they, them.
And we're people here to discuss the show our friends are sick of hearing us talk about.
If that sounds like you, stick around. If your friends sent you this podcast out of a desperate attempt to get you to watch Young Royals, take this as a sign.
Go watch Young Royals, then come back to this podcast.
Anton, what are we talking about today?
Today we'll be having a character discussion of Simon in Season 1, Episode 3, having decided we have no choice but to stand.
Woohoo! In this discussion, we won't be summarizing the plot of the episode because we already did that. If you need or want a refresher, head back 6 episodes in our feed to our most recent This Week at Hilarska for a full breakdown. This episode discussion will likely be all over the place, so strap in. You have been warned.
I was questioning myself whether I want to start with an alrighty or an alright, because that's how I often start most of our discussion.
Alrighty.
Oh,
It's the most
God.
Midwestern.
Well, yeah. Well, tell me you're a Midwestern American without telling me you're a Midwestern American, and also it's a sign that I've been editing my own voice for way too long, and now I've recognized patterns.
Happens.
Yeah.
You have been editing a lot.
Yeah. Well, we definitely did not acknowledge that this show has been happening for 6 months.
Yeah, holy shit. Damn.
Whoa.
Detour.
I mean, I detoured us from the very first word, so
Best behavior activity.
Because I overthought it. So, what I mean by Simon's convictions being isolating, I was rewatching this episode right before this, and I got stuck on August telling Simon, "You're not that guy."
Mm-hmm.
And it just really it connected to a lot of other things that I've been thinking about because are related to him, because we have his arguments with Sarah that we've been talking about,
Mm-hmm.
which is mostly what this cold open means, is not even his own sister is on his side
Right.
with these things, and realizing the fucked upness of it all.
Yeah.
If Shakespeare can make up words, so can I.
There you go. Sure.
But I think really people don't talk about the ways in which Simon's ideology, regardless of whether or not you would want to say that the way he thinks is out there generally, it is definitely unique for Hilarska. And I think we have really been leaning into the idea that Simon is, we want him to be wearing his kind of rebelliousness or different way of thinking about the world as a badge of honor.
Mm-hmm.
But there are definitely ways in which other than when Wilhelm goes up to talk to him, who do you see engaging in conversation with Simon? Actual deep, I mean, not even deep, just casual, friendly conversation.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how truly isolating that environment has been.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this really connects to what we've been talking about with Ayub and Rosh and in Love Among Royals about what we think about this sort of turn that Simon takes, but also we've been leading here.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Have you had any further thoughts about where we stand on mean, we've chosen to stand Simon, and so it's like this is definitely going to be the bulk of what we're really delving into. I think today is like what is it about this situation that like ultimately still puts us on Simon's side. I mean, there's like the obvious about August, but like
I think for me, it's because operating under the understanding that he has of August, August is just being a dick, you know? Like, August is just being a jerk and not paying him back. He doesn't know that August is in some serious financial issues right now.
Yeah.
And so it's not like he, in his mind, he does physically beat up August, but in his mind, he's not beating up somebody who is also struggling. He's beating up somebody who is just being a dick. Which it's not right to beat somebody up regardless of how much of a dick they are, but I can understand his desperation in the situation.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've been really parsing through in my head, like I think I might have gotten the line wrong in Love Among Royals. Because I like watching it back today. Rosh tells Simon that he's no better than August, no better than him. I feel like I keep like retconning it in my head to them as if it's like generally about Haleshka, but it's like she's literally comparing August and Simon and saying that they're no better than each other, which that I think. I still stand by the fact that, like, that regardless of extended circumstances and Simon's like specific actions, that phrasing of itself does feel like it ignores some like serious context around how different the situation between Simon and August is.
Yeah,
because like Simon, like. I'm thinking back to what I like watching back the scene of after Simon gets the invoice for 5,500 kronas and Italy like finds August during the preparations for Parents' Day. First of all, August says something that we will definitely get to in August character episode, which is what does he say?
It's like, here's a tip, don't spend more than you have.
Don't spend money you don't have.
Yeah.
Which we'll be talking about next week. But I think that just from Simon's perspective, he sees this person who he's like just pay me back. Just pay me back. And then he starts being like, and he's like, and August is like, or what? And like, he calls Simon's bluff.
Yeah.
Being like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like,
you can't turn me into the headmistress because.
Yeah.
Like, this was an illegal situation that I owe you money for.
Exactly. Like, I think. Even though Simon has not been in this world for very long, I think he can recognize, like, I mean, you can see that in his. I don't even have to speculate. You can go back to the welfare receivers line from the pilot, and have him recognize life is not fair.
Yeah.
Like economically, these people are going to be treated differently and are treated differently by the system that is in place. And he sees this like being like, this guy August has the biggest safety net in the world, and I am under his thumb because I have no options, and he knows that I have no options, which means he's as he says over and over again in the big confrontation, like, he's fucking with me. Like, he is just seemingly doing this for shits and gigs. Like,
yeah.
And the thing that I think probably is this is speculation, but I think the thing that could be the disconnect for Rosh and Ayub is, how did you get yourself in this situation in the first place?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's like, we've been in Simon's head from the beginning, and like, I don't know how much I can't really tell how much he goes into the justification for like buying the alcohol in the first place.
Right.
Like, and it's like, I don't know. I get from the outside seeing it as just like a series of stupid decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But I wrote down in my notes, like, Simon really does seem to just be kind of like lost in the consequences. Like,
yeah,
one action has turned into another action, has turned into another action, and it's just been this like terrible series of dominoes
mm-hmm.
that have left him with like, how did I get here? But like, we as the audience can be like, okay, I do see how you got there.
Yeah. And because of that, I would almost argue that this is the closest that I think he comes to being a character complicated, at least.
No, yeah.
That I can think of off the top of my head. Like, certainly for the series so far, the first 3 episodes.
Yeah. Definitely thus far, it's the closest he gets to character complicated, because it's like the woman scenes, you're like, cool, great, so cute, adorable.
Mm-hmm.
And then like his August scenes get messy in this episode.
They do. He
like,
compartmentalizes like it's his full-time job.
Oh yeah, that's in my notes too. It's just like I just wrote compartmentalizing. Like,
yeah, it's like different people. Like, I can't reconcile the Simon that beats up August with the Simon that's like, you want to hang out with me and my mom?
It is really hard to do that, but I think it highlights an element of this episode that it is people don't talk about it, and I get why people don't talk about it, because so much of the episode is, I've said this word before, but I'll re-give it a definition. Like, it's so much of it is focalized through Wilhelm, in the sense like it's from Wilhelm's perspective.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think it can be easy to like lose track of what Wilhelm is to Simon in these situations.
Yeah. Because
as much as Simon is a rock for Wilhelm, in like these moments of like, in this episode, it's definitely quite confusing for Wilhelm, but I think up until this point, until really Wilhelm starts really getting in his head, like Simon's been like a supportive presence for Wilhelm, for easing some of the stress of being Helishka for him. But I think in this episode, like, post I take that back, like, you see like this, like, I mean, in the lunch scene, like, I really pinpointed this time like the giddiness of Simon, like just like his eyes like ping ponging back and forth between Linda and Wilhelm as they're like meeting for the first time, and it's like these like new feelings and these potentially like first feelings of like romantic desire. It's easy to get lost in them, and I think Simon welcomes that. Like, this time around, like, the part of what I saw in the Simon ignoring Wilhelm after he shuts him down in the piano scene, like, specifically like in the lockers, like in the locker rooms, like after they shower, like, it's that fuck, I'm back at square one. It's that, oh, I'm where I am in the pilot before I met Wilhelm. Like, it's, I am just floating around in this school, like, just kind of existing and doing what I need to do to like achieve what I want to achieve. Like, I'm just like, he's like, this isn't like of these past two episodes, they've been making the experience more at Helishka bearable for each other in a lot of ways. And
I would agree with that statement.
Once they do come back together so early on in the episode, for when we're getting these like verging on character complicated moments with Simon, like when Wilhelm's around or like when he can be thinking about that, like he can just kind of be like, I pretend I do not see it. But when he gets the
absolutely invoice
and when he's like at Parents' Day and like just like reminded of like this and like moments where Wilhelm isn't there and he's just reminded of he's under the thumb of this guy who sucks, like and it's for like sure. I really this time like held on to those emotions that were with Simon before he shoves August to the ground. And you're just like, this is someone who has found ways to lash out that wasn't violence. Like he takes jabs in class where he can get them. He's gotten desperate enough to just try to try to talk to August directly and just like directly be like, where is my money? Like we had last episode him being like, hey, you haven't like paid me yet. He's like, oh no, I'll get to it. He's like, okay, and then just kind of stepping back away. And so now, when he goes back to August, and August says, oh, you're not that guy. Like, I think Simon can maybe start seeing like, okay, I can see how you could get that. And like, I have gone about this in a way that like, I am trying not to create drama. As much as I hate these people, like I recognize I need to play this smart. But it's like, okay, when will I be fucking listened to? Like when will this start working?
Right.
Like when
for sure. Yeah.
And like I suppose at the end of the day we could argue all the live long day, like he shouldn't have gotten himself into this situation. But now that he has, like I can't really say much for what he's doing because it's like, man, I get it. I fucking get it. Like
Yeah. I mean, is he lost in the sauce? Certainly. But also, he's desperate. And he got himself into a bad situation that he's trying to make right.
Yeah. Right.
He's trying.
I think that something I like kind of moving away from the August and Simon of it all. Just like kind of like, because like we've acknowledged a lot of Simon's like cute moments and stuff like that. But just like one last thing I really think I want to sit with that I feel like we haven't talked about with like the women of it all is like the surprise on Simon's face when Wilhelm says, I take it back. Like it is just like this like sudden recognition of like what is happening and being like, oh, like we're back. Okay, we're back. Like, okay, I don't have to continue walking around here like a zombie, which is kind of the vibe he's giving in to me. Like I've in the past, I think I definitely called him like, I wrote down like crushed and guarded, like definitely like he was like seriously like obviously like disappointed and like has the walls up again, but that was his autopilot before he met Wilhelm, and I think that's something that again because that little section of time does take up so little of freedom, especially from Simon's side, because we don't really see beyond the locker room scene, like really a scene from Simon's perspective, like in that period of time. But you really see that like he was in a place where this school started being like halfway bearable, and then there it went. I'm realizing I almost wonder if like Wilhelm saying I'm not like that in the piano scene is a moment of Simon being like, oh shit, I thought he was different. But is he just an August who was taking advantage of me? Or just like was not, or maybe, or like worse than August, because August is at least kind of upfront about who he is to an extent, at least around Simon. But like,
yeah,
I mean, it definitely would be a moment of like severe like lack of empathy on his part to like go that far, to be like not recognize the clear like this would be hard for Wilhelm, and like like it's kind of unclear how much Simon was able to like take out his own feelings in this. Like I respect him not engaging and like finding his peace with potentially like Wilhelm was not gonna at least admit he wasn't gonna reciprocate, or at least admit he reciprocated. But I do see this like push and pull of like wondering if you were wrong to ever put your faith in one of these rich kids. Because like, as Sarah told us last episode, like before this, he was convinced that like none of these people are worth being friends with. And then somehow Wilhelm broke through those defenses.
Yeah.
And now he's feeling stupid. And he is at least in a place.
Yeah.
By the time the fire is lit under his ass, when he gets the invoice of being like, oh shit, I do have serious money problems and I need to solve these. Like, at least he is in a place by that point that like things with Wilhelm are like sort of mended. So like he's not in like such a like literally everyone here is the worst, and like things are less black and white, at least for him at the time. Like, at the same time, I'm thinking about his conversation with Sarah in his bedroom, and she's like, why didn't you tell me about him? Like, why are you keeping it a secret? And he's like, because he wants it that way. It's complicated. And in so many ways, Simon's relationship with August and his dynamics with Wilhelm are leagues apart, obviously. But I feel like this watch through was the first time I really sat with being like, yeah, from a Simon's perspective, you do get, I mean, not like, I've like emotionally got the shittiness, despite the ways he probably definitely like understands Wilhelm's perspective, the way it's just like, fuck, man, like, like, yes, like, Wilhelm is not ignoring that the kiss ever happened anymore, but we are in a place where there's clearly a sense of awareness of your surroundings, and it's like Simon is probably clued into like, we only really talk about these things when we are totally alone, and Wilhelm knows we're totally alone. And like at the end of the day, Simon can get it, but he doesn't have to be thrilled about it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything more to add before I wrap us up, you think? Any more just like moments of like you really want to shout out like why, despite how complicated we might feel, like that Simon's still worth standing?
I hold on to that moment in his bedroom with Sarah I hold on to that just because I think it's very cute. I think
Yeah.
even though it is kind of heartbreaking when he's like, you know, he wants it that way, referring to Wilhelm wanting to keep it a secret, it is like it's a very sweet moment between them, and I hold on to that because we don't get many sweet moments.
To go back to the point that we've like really been revisiting since Love Memorials, because it does reframe a lot of things, like with the different translation now that we have of the scene between Wilhelm and Eric, like that scene, the fact that like Sarah doesn't interpret these things, I mean, partially because she's like seen it much more uphand, like all Eric has to go on is what Wilhelm's telling him, but like the fact that like she does approach it in a little bit more of a gentler way, like it's so teasing, but it's still like you're getting a sibling dynamic where she's like, so what's happened? Like she is excited for him and is being a big sister about it, but is still very much like, I want to like share in your happiness with you. And you're right, you always want to hold on to those moments in your Rose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty. Here's my in the end or big idea, however I title these wrap-ups. Simon is going through it to a degree I think we forget about sometimes. He is holding everything inside and handles his feelings as much as I can reasonably expect from someone with basically zero healthy coping skills, which we didn't really talk about actually.
Yeah, he doesn't have the greatest coping skills.
He has one, which is bottle it up and talk about it to no one.
Yeah. You know that I don't even know what it, I think it's a John Mulaney skit, but it's like, I will keep all my emotions right here until one day I die. And that's what Simon is doing.
Yeah, like you can see how like reluctant he is to like share. I mean, it's embarrassing, but like the reluctance to share what happened with Micah to Ayub and Rosh, like his closest friends. Yeah. And you're just like, this kid seriously, like, there's such a filter going on there that it's like, yeah, he wasn't going to handle the stressful situation of August, like, in the most healthy way possible. Like, what? No. There's no way. There's just no way. And I just wanted to conclude, and in Simon's moments of peace, he finds a way to experience his happiness fully. Like, as much as we can call him out for compartmentalizing, I think I want to appreciate Simon's ability to live in the moment.
Yeah.
When he is feeling happy, he doesn't let himself get distracted with reasons why he shouldn't be. Which I feel like is like all Wilhelm does.
Yeah.
So like, I gotta appreciate that. Gotta stand that.
Absolutely.
So Margaret, do you have anything to add?
No, of course I don't. No.
Had to ask.
I never do. I know. You always ask. I always say no.
Oh, gosh. Alrighty. Alright, listeners. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to be kept up to date with when we release new episodes and other pod-related announcements, you can check out our Instagram or our threads that people don't talk about. Our next episode will be, you probably guessed it because I already said it, character assassination of August in Season 1, Episode 3. So stay tuned. And with that, all I have to say is, let's start a revolution,
baby.
Baby.